Hello and welcome to Sproutlogic Gardening. My name's Mike, and we interrupt your regularly scheduled broadcast to give you this special weather statement. If you're like me, you're looking down the barrel of a pretty nasty winter storm over the next couple days. So, as gardeners, we ask the question, what do you do? What can you do to prepare? What should you be looking at? And what realistically can you ignore? So, let's talk about the two types of weather that typically come with winter storms. Number one is snow, and number two is freezing rain. When we're talking about snow, this is arguably the least impact that we're going to face when it comes to gardening. Depending on the snow, you could have wet snow, but most of the time, what it does is actually provides insulation for your plants. It's not going to typically break branches or weigh things down or cause harm that way. So, this is something that, while we can address, it's least likely to be the problem. The biggest culprit that I'm worried about is freezing rain. Look around me. I have lights hanging up, a peach tree, potted plants and things scattered across the garden. Here in Short Meadow, freezing rain could be a very serious problem, and it probably in your garden as well. So these are the two types of weather we need to think about when addressing a winter storm that's coming in. So let's start with preparing for the winter storm. What can we do? So first things first, we need to think about plants that we need to focus on versus ones we don't. What do we need to focus on? Trees like this, right? When freezing rain lands on that tree, it builds up layers and it weighs it down. What's going to happen? Sure as heck, it's going to weigh it down and break branches and possibly make the tree tip over, depending on how well it's rooted, how long it's been there. Looking at other smaller plants as well. We have some things in the back beds there. Are they going to be affected by this? Well, that depends. Anything that's newly planted, seedlings, winter veg that you're growing, these things need to be covered and taken care of. Now I'm going to pop up a little image to show you kind of what I'm talking about with covering plants. And I'm going to first just talk to you about the materials you'll need when covering plants. So you want to use things like burlap, sheets, towels, natural materials. You do not want to use things like plastic or tarps. Plastic will hold moisture in, so it's going to keep things rooted to the plant and on the plant. It also will, it's not very breathable, it'll cause issues there, and it will become super heavy and probably fall over. It's going to cause way more harm than good. So you don't want to use anything that's plastic, like tarp or plastic bags, things like that. Burlap, on the other hand, is breathable. So as you can see in the image, what you want to do is essentially start from the top. When we're talking about a tree, you're going to wrap it. Now be careful when wrapping it. You don't want to squeeze it super tight. You're just covering it lightly and making sure you're kind of sealing it. And you're going to go all the way down to the trunk. So you want to make sure that's wrapped. You're going to tie that with twine. And then the next thing you want to do, which is also really important, is put a layer of mulch around the bottom. This is protecting the roots from the cold and ice. Now, for other plants, like if we're looking at stuff like that, similar. We're not going to tie burlap on it. We might want to weigh it down, put it over the top of beds or potted plants. You can tie it to the bed if you want, or to the pot. And then make sure that before you do that, of course, you're putting mulch around the base of your plants and protecting them. So that's how you protect plants. The most effective way for sure to do it is going to be like burlap and things like that. Now, where do you get these materials? Home goods stores. Sometimes, rarely, will have burlap and stuff. So you want to more go towards gardening stores, like home, and then go to maybe like Home Depot or Lowe's. Those types of stores will typically have those materials. Alternatively, you can get them online, like on Amazon. Uh, I actually am ordering these special tree bags and plant bags. I'm going to try them out on Amazon, and I'll drop a link in the description below for you guys to take a look at. I need to make sure it gets here before the storm, and luckily I think it arrives right before it hits. These bags slip over the tree, zip up, and secure to the base. So it's essentially the same thing. It's material. It's just easier than having to manually wrap around the tree or the plant. So these are definitely ways to kind of protect your plants. Now, what things should you ignore in the garden when it comes to plants, at least? I'm going to use that bed back there as another example. That's lavender. It's been established for well over a year. I'm not worried about it. Freezing rain, snow, it's going to be okay. If I want to go the extra mile, I could put a little burlap over and make sure I tie it down. Will I do that? I'm unsure. I think they're going to be okay. I have roses and other things in the garden. It's kind of the same thing, right? They'll probably be okay. They're established. They've been here a while. If I had new things planted, different story. You want to make sure you're protecting those things when it comes to the storms. So, next, what about other things in the garden? As I mentioned, lights, poles, anything like that you have in your garden potentially is a risk. When it gets weighed down by freezing rain, it's going to collapse downward. It could hit other plant beds. It could cause all kinds of issues. And if they're electrical, it could snap. That's even more dangerous with live electricity running through lines. So in short meadow here, I'm going to need to make sure I take these down. These poles have to come down. These lights have to come down. And I probably want to unplug electrical things as well out here to make sure that everything's going to be okay. Potted plants, what I would recommend doing is moving them closer to your home so they're sheltered from the wind. Use burlap, frost cloths, whatever you need to cover them and protect them. You're going to want to insulate them as well. And I would do it regardless if it's newly planted or not. Because again, when you're talking about a raised bed, it's insulated a lot better than a potted plant that's completely exposed, including down to the roots. So you're going to want to make sure you pull them in closer to the house and you protect them accordingly. So that kind of covers how to address things, what to look out for when we're talking about the weather. But when it comes to dealing with what do you do during the storm, it's actually very simple. Nothing. Don't be outside. Don't be out here knocking ice off your plants or digging out snow. Don't do it. There's health risks involved in that. You can get frostbite. You can get hurt. I would not do that. I would leave it be. You're already prepared, hopefully, in this case, and you're good to go. Now it's time to ride the storm out. Knocking off ice off trees and things, it's going to cause more harm than good. And you could potentially get hurt. So don't do it. Definitely not worth it. After the storm, however, what do? You're going to come out and do an assessment phase. You'll walk your garden. You'll take a look and see what has been affected, what hasn't. You're going to want to remove your covers. And you're going to want to do this well after the storm, probably about a day or so, right? So that there's no chance of something else coming in right behind it. You have to take those covers off. Do not leave them on all winter. That's really important to mention. You will definitely cause more harm than good by doing that. And then you'll take a look and assess things. Like, for example, with my tree, even with the cover, I expect that branches are going to break. You're going to want to prune those off accordingly and be careful. Be very, very, very careful when it comes to pruning in the winter, right? Most things don't like to be pruned in the winter. You're only going to prune things that are dead or damaged in order to prevent more issues coming into the spring. Same thing with other plants. They might be flattened. That's okay. They will bounce back. You're looking for snapped stems, and those are the problematic areas you may want to trim depending on what you're looking at. But after the storm, it's about rebuilding what you have, putting up like my lights, for example, and maybe moving your potted plants back to where they need to go. And hopefully with these tips, you should come through pretty unscathed. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.